This Friday, Universes is joined by an all-new IP, Solo Leveling. We have a Challenger deck here, which means it's a 60-card deck playable right out of the box with Sung Jinwoo as your main character. Now, I am starting Season 2 tonight. I have watched Season 1, but I'm starting Season 2 tonight. Do not give any spoilers in the comments, please. Very excited for that. But every single deck comes with a 60-card deck, Sung Jinwoo, and then a collector booster pack, which has foil variants and alt arts of various cards in the deck. The best of which is normally just to get an alt art variant of the character, but the one that I really want is his attack, the world's weakest hunter, I think is what it's called. Okay, so pro tip on these challenger decks, open them from the bottom. It's much, much easier that way. I don't know why they do it like that, but they do. Here we've got our collector booster pack. We have a little booklet that tells us about all of the cards inside the deck and what they look like in their alt art variants. And then we have the deck itself. All right, we have the deck out. I'll show you how we can open it up. It all comes with this little pull tab here. And just go like that. And it comes right off. Theoretically, it comes right off. All right, we have our deck, and here is the character himself. Sung Jinwoo, E rank hunter, 6 hand size, 30 health. He begins the game with the assassin skill tree. So can't really talk about the character until we get the assassin skill tree. Where is that in here? Here it is. The assassin skill tree. Jinwoo basically starts the game with no abilities, but every single time he levels up, just like in the show, how he gets stronger. In this game, he starts very, very weak, but he gets stronger as he goes. So first you get critical attack. This weapon attack gets +1 damage for each attack in your card pool. Then we get murderous intent. Reduce this attack speed to 0. It's a first enhance, once per turn. Quicksilver. Once per turn, this attack gets 3 speed. Dagger throw. Your weapon attack gains echo. Stealth. Change the zone of this attack. Ruler's authority, and this is the big one. Add 1 XP card from your removed pile to your hand. So the big level ups, I feel like, are just getting to level 2, first off, because now you have an offensive ability and a defensive ability. And then getting to where you can give something echo. And then I think up here, Ruler's authority is the next big step up. So how do you level up? Well, you have this tenacious response, meaning it's playable while Sung Jinwoo is committed. So you can do it on turn 1 going first. Remove an XP card from your hand or stage at the start of your turn, level up. So you can only level up once per turn cycle. But after you get through 6 turn cycles, if you've managed to stay alive, you are now an extremely powerful game. I would say that if they printed a character with just all of these abilities, you're probably the best character in the game. Like the best character in all of Universes. That said, you start the game with 0 abilities. And you have to kind of hurt yourself by removing something from your hand or stage in order to level up. So the process of leveling up is very, very difficult, just like in the show. And you start out as a weakling, just like in the show. But by the end of it, you can maybe be the most powerful character in all of Universes. That's one of the major things, like holding this character back. The other thing that kind of holds this character back is that you are locked into XP cards from his response to level up. And then with the assassin skill tree, you kind of get locked into weapon cards. So you're gated towards the cards in his kit, and then you're gated towards specific kinds of attacks. And then in his kit, not every single card is an XP card, and in his attacks, not every single attack is a weapon card. You do start out with absolutely nothing. So I don't think he's a very great beginner character, because I think beginners are just going to just get absolutely demolished trying to play Sung Jinwoo. But I think in the hands of a very skilled pilot and a skilled player, you could actually do really well here. I think you have to play very defensive because you have to survive to get to this critical mass. Once you unlock Ruler's Authority, you should just be winning the game. So you have to survive long enough to get to this critical mass of abilities on your skill tree. But after that, you should win the game. So in the hands of a skilled pilot, I think this character could actually be very good. In the hands of a beginner, I think they're going to get destroyed. Okay, let's jump into his cards. We'll put Sung Jinwoo and the Assassin skill tree over here. With the cards, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on every single card. I'll just tell you like the cards that I think are very competitive, the cards that I think that are fun designs, and then the cards that are like Sung Jinwoo only, or just deck fillers. So starting off, we have Hunter's Dagger. Unique, you can commit. Your non-throw attack gains weapon. If it deals damage, add 3 bleed counters to this card. And then you can remove a bleed counter. After your rival plays an attack and their health is 3 or greater, they lose 1 health. I love this card. It is a 1 low block, 0 difficulty asset. This is the first 0 difficulty asset in the game for the standard format. Very, very easy to build early on. And then you're getting these 3, if it deals damage, you're getting 3 bleed counters, which is effectively like +3 damage. Like Knott's Flask is very good. We commit it for +3 or -3 damage. Well, this is like a 0 diff that we can commit for +3 damage over the course of the game. This can, just every single time they play an attack, we can get more and more bleed counters. We can kind of force them to block an attack that we want them to block, so that they don't get the bleed counters, but then we follow up with an attack that we're excited that now that maybe their blocking power has been used up. So it's also a way to get to run more non-weapons in Sung Jinwoo, to add weapon to it. Then we get Teleportation Stone, a 3 difficulty asset, and we can remove after you block an attack, your rival must play a non-attack card as their next form or pass. This one can be quite strong. Force them to stuff their own card pool with like a foundation or an asset, and now everything's on +1 difficulty. But it is a 3 difficulty asset, and we have to remove it as cost. It's also a mid block. I think there's probably a little too hard of costs. I don't think it's bad. Just a little too heavily costed for a 3 difficulty asset for me. Then we have 2 copies of Clash with the Blood Red, 5 difficulty, 5 high, 5 Blitz. Each player reveals the top card of their deck. If the check value of your revealed card is greater than or equal to your rival commits 2 foundations. Otherwise, you draw 1 card and your rival mills 1. So sometimes this is going to be a 5/5 stun 2. Sometimes it's going to be a 5/5 draw 1 and your rival mills 1. And it's an XP and it's a weapon. So I think this is going to be possibly pretty close to a staple in Jinwoo decks, but outside of Jinwoo decks, probably not going to be ran. And then we have 2 copies of Venom Fang Dagger, 3 low, 3, 4 diff, weapon. After this attack deals damage, your next weapon attack gets X damage. X equals this attack's damage. The nice thing about this is that if you get this thing to like 15 damage and it deals, your next attack is also getting 15 damage. Now, I mean, it does have to deal, and this does start under costed, so I don't think that this is necessarily a competitive card, but it is a fun card. This is a card that when you get the combo off, you're going to be having a very good time playing the game. And then we have 2 copies of, I think, one of the best cards in the entire deck. It will be competitive. World's Weakest Hunter. 5 mid, 3, 4 diff, EX3, weapon XP. After it deals damage, you can remove a foundation from your stage, draw 1 card for each card, and you're removed from game pile. So Sung Jinwoo will have cards in his removed from game pile thanks to this response from leveling up. So this should typically be a draw 3 if it hits with Sung Jinwoo. So 5 mid 3, we can EX it up. If it hits, we get to draw 3. Or characters like Rodan, since this is all attuned, any Rodan deck can run this. Rodan can add 3 or 4 speed to this. Force a block on a very, very weak move, or Rodan's going to be drawing 3. So this is going to see a lot of competitive play. Then we have Double Dungeon. Tenacious, after you level up, ready this card, remove, level up. You cannot level up again this turn. So you don't get to do a double level up when you use this, but you can level up mid-turn, which might be a big deal. For example, if you were on like turn, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you're on like turn 5, then and you can level up to Ruler's Authority at the very start of your turn, that could be a big deal. As it is, I think this needed to be, I think this needed to not have that second line. You cannot level up again this turn. If it didn't have that second line, I would say that it's pretty good. I think it's a little too heavily costed. 3 copies of Determined Cut, 4 high, 3, powerful 3. After your rival plays an enhance ability, they lose 1 health. We can start forcing our rival to interact with this because it has powerful 3, so we can make this a very threatening attack, which is going to force our rival to want to play enhances, and every time they're going to be cutting for it. I think that this could possibly be a competitive card, but it is a very fun card. I would put it in line with like Venom Fang Daggers. Like I'm a big fan of that design. 3 copies of Enough of This, Frenzy Fury. This card does not count towards progressive difficulty to play Foundations. The downside to this is it is not a weapon. So this is something that we'd have to use this 0-diff asset on to make it a weapon. 4 copies of another non-weapon in the deck, but it's a throw. 1 mid 4. After you block with this card, gain 2 health. Outside of Sung Jinwoo, I could actually see this finding some solid play. It's a throw with this gain 2 health on the block. I like that. 3 copies of Killing Intent, 4 low, 5 stun, 1 seal a rival foundation with difficulty of 2 or less. So you could be sealing something like a Decoy Duplicate, Broken Psyche, some very, very powerful defensive foundations we could be sealing with this. Characters like Shoto Todoroki 4 are going to be a big fan of this. They care about having rival foundations sealed and getting better with that. So I think that this one, probably just like B+ on its own, but in certain decks, it could definitely see some competitive play. Then we got 4 copy of Wolf's Assassin, 5 mid 5, add an XP foundation from your discard pile to your hand. That's nice. You know, we've got to be removing XP foundations from our stage or hand to level up. And now we can add them with this as a like poke attack. The one that I think I would always be adding to my hand, I'll just show it first, would be this one. Would be a pretty solid one. Item menu, after you remove this card from your hand, draw 1 card. So it's not doing anything in your stage, but if we add this to our hand and then we remove it at the end of the turn, it gets to replace itself. So we didn't get hit as hard with that discard cost. We also have another one that, here, this one is also a pretty good one to remove from our hand and grab using Wolf's Assassin. Is XP, after you remove this card from your hand, build the top card of your deck face down committed. So you're gaining a resource. Both of these cards are gaining a resource when you're removing them, helping kind of lessen the cost to level up. Sacrifice a foundation, this attack gets +1 speed. That's pretty solid in the stage. Okay, other foundations. We've got Dungeoneering Armor. After this card is committed, due to a rival effect, it gets -2 damage, so some stun hate. Sacrifice, this attack gets -1 damage. This one's just deck filler, in my opinion. And this is probably the best foundation in the deck, is Fateful Decision. It's a 1 difficulty, 3 mid block. We can commit for -2 speed. Okay, that's a typical rate for a 1 diff. Most 1 diffs that commit for speed hate is typically -2 speed, and if you hit some sort of extra cost, it's maybe -3 speed. But it comes with this second enhance, commit after you play a block, it gains Breaker 1. So that is not a flip cost, meaning that every single turn on defense, if you're using this like a Rodan, a very defensive character, every time you block, you can commit this for Breaker 1. basically forcing your rival to play through a breaker 1 every single turn. And then in a pinch, maybe you don't play it for the breaker, you play it for the block. So big fan of this foundation. Okay, leveling strength, XP, 2 low block, commit for +2 damage. Loot box. This is an interesting one that I think ultimately falls a little short, but it's a fun design. Flip, build the top card of your deck. At the end of the combat phase, add that card to your hand. So the benefit of not immediately just saying flip, draw 1, is that you can flip this, build the top card of your deck ready, and then use that to commit to pass something later on in the turn, and then you're picking it up as a committed foundation to your hand. The downside to this is that it's a 4 check. If this checked a 5, I would think it could be competitive in situations, but I think the 4 check holds it back. Basically a blank 1 div, 3 high block XP, but it does have breaker 1. And then the last foundation, timely recovery, XP, tenacious, sacrifice to gain 2 health. When we remove this from our hand, gain 2 health. So remember, we do have to survive for a long time as we unlock abilities. So gaining health, getting access to breaker, getting some speed hate, these are going to be pretty big things. That is the deck itself. Let's jump into the collector booster pack now. And what I'm looking for is an alternate art of Sung Jinwoo, or an alternate art World's Weakest Hunter, or an alternate art Hunter's Dagger. Those are like the 3 chase cards that I'm going for. All right, collector booster pack time. Are we going to level up? Dungeoneering armor. Item menu. Oh, this must be something different with this deck, is that every single card gets an alternate art. Loot box. Venom Fang Dagger. Determined Cut. Grasp for Survival. I think I've got 1 left. Nope. That was it. So yeah, in these decks, every single card comes with an alternate art variant. That is awesome. Typically challenger decks, only the shiny ones come with alt arts, and these just come in shiny versions. But it looks like they went all out for solo leveling, and every single card is getting an alternate art variant. And the art on these cards, honestly, is kind of like way better than the art just for the deck. Like, check this out. Grasp for Survival. Determined Cut. This is one that I'm absolutely going to be playing in a deck. 4 high 3, every time they interact, they lose a health. I love punishing my rival for interaction. And I really like the foiling on these. Venom Fang Dagger. Loot box. Item menu. Dungeoneering armor. And we've switched characters on this one. We switched from the... I need to recap myself on season 1. I know this was like the rich kid, right? And this guy, and Sung Jinwoo's helping him level up, but now we switch from him to our main man. All right, there we go. That is the solo leveling challenger deck. Releases this Friday. Go check out your local game store. I highly encourage that you pick one of these up for yourself.